Welcome to the latest episode of the More People podcast. I am Richard Hanwell, Managing Director, and joined with the ever-present Andrew Fitzmaurice.
Hello.
On what is our 50th episode.
Yeah, 50th episode. Where did that come from? Time flies.
I can't quite believe it. It's why did we start this again?
Yes, good question. I think about that question every time we do one of these. I think we wanted to create something that adds more value to our clients and our candidates. I think our recruitment process and services are pretty obvious, pretty apparent. But from a selfish perspective, from a marketing and brand perspective, I think if we can find other reasons to talk to candidates and clients, that adds a bit more than just the transactional recruitment when it's required bit, then I think we're adding something extra. We're doing our job better. We're going above and beyond, and this is part of that, I suppose.
Yeah, I agree. I think bringing it to life as well. You know, the kind of stigma that is around recruiters or generalist recruitment. We do genuinely embed ourselves within our industries, and you think about some of the topics that we've discussed. The network and the connections we've got in this industry are genuine, and I hope that comes across because got to know a lot of these individuals really quite well. Privileged to call some of them friends, catch up on quite a regular basis, and talk through things away from filling jobs and you know, getting involved in the wider industry, whether it be enticing people into the garden centre industry from a different type of retail, enticing people from normal universities, not ag universities, into this industry, and having all of those conversations. I think bringing it to life about what we do get involved in is of paramount importance to a wider audience and hopefully a newer audience as well, really.
Well, hopefully it's interesting. You know, other podcasts are available, so there's plenty of demand and plenty of choice when it comes to what you choose to watch. But you know, we said right at the beginning, and it was recognised by again the team here, that maybe we take it for granted in some regards, but the calibre of people we know in our network is genuinely impressive. They're all so giving with their time, and I think passionate about showcasing what they do, because they're quite rightly proud of it.
Yeah. And
not everybody knows about what goes on behind the scenes of some of these businesses, but because of the power of that network, and the previous 49 episodes, hopefully, you know, a testament to that when you see who's on there. It seems stupid to not make the most of that, you know, to host a podcast, to be able to call these people in and showcase the breadth of not only what we do, but the scope that goes on in the industry, because there's so much stuff that goes on behind the scenes that whether you are just a consumer of food and produce and plants, or I've spent no time thinking about it whatsoever, unless you're watching Clarkson's Farm or an Inside the Factory episode or something. You just don't think about it. It's very, very much out of sight. Yeah. So giving the platform to some of our candidates and clients to come and actually tell their story, and I think to your point, to bring it to life, to help showcase what goes on as a tool to potential people who might come into the market, to prospective candidates who might think about joining a business, or without having too grandiose a goal. We talk a lot at our dinners about the shortage of talent and why is no one else coming into the sector. If this in some very small way plays a part to do that, then I'll feel very happy that we've done something good.
Very, very, very much so. I think the amount of careers that you can have within the industry is epic. We've notoriously had quite senior people come as guests, but they weren't always in senior roles, and we speak endlessly about their roots into the industry. Some are obvious, and maybe even all into families within the industry. Some are far less obvious, and some people can't quite remember how on earth they ended up in the fresh produce industry. What it's also given us an opportunity to do is shine a bit of light on our own team. As we all know, we book these days out, and life happens, and unfortunately we'll have guests that can't make it for whatever reason. We'll have a member of our own team that we're intending to shine light on anyway, but we'll jump in at the 11th hour, and the guys in the media team are always shocked and impressed at how how good a caliber of people we can bring into the fold, and the stories behind some of those guys and how they got into recruitment. Another career shift, or whether it's produce industry or recruitment, and how people have done that and how they've embedded themselves in the industries. And on occasions, you wouldn't know the difference between the recruiter and the person that works in the industry, which is kudos to our team as well. Throughout hosting these and being in that chair as well, what's been the main learning over the last kind of 50 odd episodes?
I feel like I've used this phrase about 1,000 times this year already, but I probably said it in a previous podcast. You get better at the stuff you practice.
Yeah.
And whether that's trying to get better at golf, which I fail at oftentimes, or getting better at podcasts, or managing offers, preparing candidates for interviews, delivering bad news, whatever it is, you get better at the things you practice. So the learnings for me have been very much about getting out of the comfort zone and stretching myself by doing something that's not every day, not normal. We don't do a lot of this. We do a session every few months, and I think hopefully people watching might agree that we're getting better at it. I feel more comfortable doing it. It's still semi-awkward, and it's still a very conscious level of competence rather than unconsciously competent. But we've only done 50. I mean, 50 sounds like a milestone number, and it's a nice thing to celebrate. But you watch anyone who's really good at podcasting on whatever topic you like to watch, the chances are they've done hundreds and thousands. Yeah. And some of them don't take off until they've got enough collateral, or they hit the sweet spot with the right guest, or maybe they get good at it. So, it's definitely teaching me patience, which is not a virtue.
Naturally.
No, if you ask my family and friends, no. But to be patient, to give it time to mature, and for the skills to improve. And it's a worthwhile string to the bow, I think, that you can use, whether we use the presentation skills, the ability to try to be articulate, whether we're doing that in front of the team every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or whether we're speaking to students as we go out to universities a lot and stand in front of big crowds of students. All these things will add confidence. And I hope that's passed on to the team as well. So to your point about showcasing the team and the personalities behind it, it's great learning their stories and their journeys, and we have a bit of fun. Hopefully injecting the personality gives some level of buy-in or inspiration or empathy with the candidates and clients that we deal with. But we can also see those guys develop. And they sometimes do it against their will, some more than others.
Yeah, definitely.
Without naming any names.
Jake.
But, we put these people in here for a reason. And I think it's part of I feel like it's my responsibility to force some of these people outside their comfort zones. Yeah. Because that's where all the best development's done. And this is another platform for that.
Looking back at the previous 49 episodes, which ones really stood out for you? Which ones were, when you think about the podcast straight away?
There was definitely an episode with Boyd talking about Green Fingers, which is a charity that really surprised me. That was a tough episode. It was difficult to hold back the tears, in learning what that charity does, which was almost a sidebar to the main part of the conversation. I enjoyed talking to Aggie Matuma. Yeah. That was a real standout. That was very different to a lot of the other content in the nature of her role. While she started out in food and produce in HR, what her role has evolved into now is totally different. Difficult topic sometimes to try and articulate, which I think are just about navigated, but that was really interesting. And Sean Sankey as well, I think, stands out as one you did. It was another really interesting one because it's someone we've known and partnered with for a while. He's helped run our conferences for the last couple of years. And again, he's worked with some really impressive businesses. So hearing what he has to think is always useful. And some of the internal ones as well have been great because we know our team pretty well, but giving the time to understand and remind ourselves how people got into the industry and to hear their voices have been great. Yeah. How about yourself?
Shane Tyler going through the MSIN piece was incredibly powerful, and to thoroughly, having known Shane for or spoken to him for like 19 years, but to thoroughly understand what his current role looks like and the efforts the man puts in to genuinely fight back against modern slavery is epic, and genuinely was pulling on the heartstrings and widened my eyes to what's going on. Sitting down trying to be serious for Steve Maxwell was
a stretch.
Was a stretch. But the man's career is fantastic and great insight. And spending time with Claire Donovan more recently about, again, various different debates. Sitting down with Suzanne James was great. Understanding HR in a lot more detail. A lot of people would. I think sometimes HR is the go-to point for when the proverbial hits the fan. But having Suzanne come in and talk about the proactive nature of HR and how her job's evolved, her career, the recruitment side of it, the ER cases, or the more strategy side, I thought was really, really good. And that's thoroughly enjoyable. Guy, in a 20...
Were you paid to mention that?
Well, no, in a 20-30 minute episode, and I asked him one question. But how passionate he is, and going on about his career and this place and how much it means to him, I think was really, really good. And, it is enjoyable to see the man when he's really going at it from a passion perspective and everything that it means to him. And Peter Giroux, talking about the branded side of projects. Could have sat and spoke to Peter for the rest of the day, to put perfectly frank. But I thought he was brilliant. He was really, really good at just kind of like breaking it down to layman's terms, but also very humble man. But what he's achieved and what he's done was grand. You could sit and rattle them all off, to be perfectly frank. I genuinely have thoroughly enjoyed them all, but they're the ones that really have kind of stood out. It's been fun. It's been good. I hated you for starting it.
Okay.
I was petrified.
Sorry, not sorry.
No, it's fine. But I remember being so nervous, and Chris England really calming me down on the first few, and now kind of being a lot more comfortable with it. Not saying we're good at it, but way more comfortable with it. It's just a reminder to ourselves: you've got to push yourself outside your comfort zones, not just encourage your own team to do so. Do it yourself, lead from the front, make the mistakes, fall over, pick yourself up and go again.
It's been a great platform for us to learn. So having the opportunity to talk to some of these people who we know or we see at trade shows, occasionally we meet on site, but getting their time to sit here and really showcase their businesses and the variety of it. Talking to Dan Cross very early on about regenerative circular agriculture at Dyson. He was one of the first people I wanted to get because I figured Dyson would be a really great case study. Yeah. Talking to Sonny about AD and what they're doing in a wider energy space. Yeah. These are topics. Adam White talking about agricultural banking, which I wouldn't have thought necessarily would be something that we'd have huge exposure to. And talking to Sarah, our Sarah, about the YPHA and her journey from retail into being a genuine horticultural expert and ambassador. Has been really cool. So, look, long may this continue. There's a big list of guests we've already got booked in.
Yep,
and
indeed.
A wish list that's even longer, I think, for the next 50 episodes and beyond. So let's hope we do, more of the same and become even more proficient at doing it.
Maybe with a more tropical background somewhere.
We could selflessly do that, take it on the road, the More People podcast road show.
To get two in the audience.
Somebody somewhere really cool like Whiz Beach or Abu Dhabi, you choose.
Maybe. Well, no, that's great. I think, look, here's to the next 50 and beyond. Thanks for pushing us into doing it. Genuinely mean that this time around. And long may the learnings and guests continue. Thanks. Cheers, pal.
Cheers.